a sun-beating day.
Hello, this is a Sit Down with Sean Tagdis. I'm your host, Sean Tagdis. Today I'm joined live in studio with Carmine Thompson, certified drug and alcohol interventionist, and Dana M. Cole, criminal defense lawyer right here. So,
Sean, how are you?
I'm doing well. I was just about to ask you how you guys are doing.
Okay, good.
So how are you guys doing today?
Great. Good to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
Definitely, of course. My first big breakthrough interview. I'm going to say I managed to land Carmine and Dana, so I'm thrilled.
Well, I have to say I am thrilled to be here, Sean. I've probably not been Beverly High for 50 years.
Oh, that's true. We have some former alumni joining us today.
I was class of 72.
Class of 72, guys.
Go Normans, absolutely.
Exactly. When I first met you, you said go Normans. So that just proves a message right here. The school pride never dies.
Exactly.
So we mentioned that you are a criminal defense lawyer. You are a certified drug and alcohol interventionist. I just want to know, what does a week consist of for you guys in your field of work?
So for me, there is really no typical week.
Yes, that I remember.
Yeah, it's constantly moving and shifting. Put it like this: for the past 2 weeks, I've been in court a lot, dealing with people. So I've worked with Dana a lot. I've also been to the mental health court, working with people there. There is no typical week, although a lot of it is dealing with families who are in crisis because their loved one is suffering from either a drug and alcohol addiction problem or some mental health issue.
All right, and you, Dana?
And
that's very, before, I hate to interrupt you, that seems very, like you could have one very heavy week and one very light week, you think?
I wouldn't say any week is light. I mean, because I'm always dealing with people in crisis, but there is no typical week. You just never know what's going to come across the desk.
Right.
And to me, that's the exciting thing about being a criminal defense attorney. I go to court every day, so every morning when I wake up, I have no idea what's going to happen that day, what problems the telephone call is going to bring or what a judge is going to do. So that's sort of the exciting part of my job. It also creates a lot of anxiety as well, because when you walk into a courtroom, any given day, you have no idea what is going to happen.
Yeah, like walking onto a battlefield. You don't know what's happening.
That's
You're just
true.
trying to get out.
Exactly.
I understand. What do you think? You mentioned this, and I don't know, for some reason it's just appealing to me. The idea of going into court, it's almost like going into battle. You're trying to come out with a win. You're trying to help your client the best you can. So I want to know why you think so many people are drawn to the profession of being a lawyer.
Well, okay. Not every day is a trial or a contested hearing. A lot of the courtroom work is trying to resolve cases and meeting with prosecutors or judges and trying to work out a deal of some kind. So it's not constantly, putting your wits against someone else's, in courtroom battle. But still, I think it's the type of profession that you're trying to help people. People are very afraid, having been charged with a crime. They don't know what is going to happen. And sort of you're the guy that stands between the client and possible jail cell. So it becomes important, and to try to help people when they have really no one else to help them gives you a good feeling.
That's really interesting. It sounds very, almost like a weight you have to carry around with you, knowing that you can be the difference maker also.
Well, lots of times I tell clients that take your headache and
let you have it.
Transpose it onto me and let me worry about it.
It's a difficult job. Carmine, I want to know, well, everyone can see you guys are joined here on stage together. At what point do your jobs intersect, and how do you guys know each other?
So Dana and I met over a case, and quite often we work together. A lot of times the people that Dana's defending are in trouble because of substance abuse or mental health. So I'm oftentimes used as a person who can do conditional releases for them, align treatment for them, do an alternative to prison. Somebody who's struggling with substance abuse may have committed a crime, but usually they're acting out of character because drugs oftentimes cause people to do things that are not really who they are.
Yeah, definitely.
So we intersect a lot. People I work with are also, facing potential charges, and Dana happens to be one of the most reputable and best attorneys I know. So I'm always happy to work with Dana. It's a real pleasure. Dana sees the bigger picture. That's real important. It's not just about resolving this case before us. It's also about, how do we really serve this client well so that they get the help that they need so they're not back in this problem again. So that's how we intersect a lot in our cases.
That's good to hear. You mentioned get the help that they need. What do you personally, as an interventionist, what do you think is the most important step, and not maybe most important couple of steps? What do you think is very important in getting someone help and getting someone healthy?
Well, this is a real problem that a lot of families are dealing with. They have a loved one who, may be hardwired for addiction. We don't really know, or maybe they're just experimenting, and they're starting to act out in ways that are unbecoming of that person. It really does take somebody who understands the nature of addiction. Are we dealing with a more serious problem where we do need to get this person into a rehab? Or is this something where they can, get some counseling, go to an outpatient program? Because families are really unfamiliar with the recovery process. You can see when somebody's, abusing substances and they're starting to do things that are, not themselves. But what do we do for a solution? That's where I come in. I'm all about the solution when it comes to whether it's drug and alcohol addiction or for mental health. How do we get them the right type of help so that they can address this problem?
And there's a real irony here, Sean, in that if someone gets arrested and is thrown in jail due to either mental illness or alcohol or drug addiction issues, a golden opportunity is presented because you actually have a lot of leverage over the person in jail to then get them the help. They want to get out. A judge and prosecutor want to get them help. I believe they really do. And so you can sort of use the leverage of the court system or the fact that criminal charges are pending to more than encourage, but almost force someone into either rehab or some sort of mental health intervention to start to address the issues so that it does not recur. And normally judges and prosecutors are pretty willing to assist in that effort.
That's really good. I like what you guys said, especially the part where you both separately mentioned where people come to you and they're out of their depth. The part where they look for you for the legal guidance because they're out of their element. They're not really sure what's going on. The families come to you. They're not sure how to deal with a problem. So I think, in a way, you both are incredibly important roles in not only helping, they're both your jobs, they help people. That's I think something very, very
well, there's also a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to addiction and recovery. A lot of people feel, well, unless they're ready and willing to get help, it's not gonna work. I can tell you that that's not true. Being proactive when it comes to somebody who's struggling with addiction is really important. A brain that's obsessing and craving drugs really is not going to make a healthy choice for themselves. So if you're sitting around waiting for your loved one to make the right choice to go to rehab, you're probably going down the wrong road. You should really think about, if we get this person help and they have some healing time so that their brain can then start making healthier decisions for themselves. Is that not a better approach than waiting for the next shoe to drop, which is oftentimes what families do? And inevitably, the next shoe that drops, it's not going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely
and how
not.
severe it's going to be is really concerning.
That's really good. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's also very difficult to reason with someone who is not medicated and suffering from mental illness or addicted to drugs. Very difficult to reason with that individual, but they all sort of understand one thing, and that is if they're in jail, they want to get out. And that's when you have the leverage to get them to a hospital and get them medicated or get them clean and sober. Then once they're in that stage, then you're better able to reason with them and let them try to gain the insight, and that's the key word, insight into what their problem is, and then trying to do something about it.
That's definitely true. I actually saw a quote on your Instagram, I believe, and it said, "What you allow is what will continue." And I think that was it was one of your most popular posts. And I think you just perfectly summed up exactly what that means. And I like what you said too about how once they're in prison that you have leverage or they just want freedom. So I think you guys made good points about how when someone needs, they really recognize they need help when they're out of their element and they want to get back to their freedom.
Well, also let me just say for another audience, which is, we're doing this at Beverly Hills High School. There's a lot of young people. Messing with drugs and alcohol is really like playing Russian roulette with your brain. You don't know if you're going to be predisposed, if you have the genetic markings for addiction. So, not everybody is hardwired for addiction. There's people who will, do the natural course of using substances, and they'll either gravitate away from it or they'll just, not become consumed by it. But there are those, and I fall into that category as well because I'm also in recovery. So there are those of us who ingest certain substances, and I can't get my brain to stop obsessing on it. 19 years later, I'm sober, but there was a time when this was a real problem for me when I just couldn't stop, despite my best thinking and all the willpower in the world trying to muster it up to not do this. My brain was totally locked on it. So that irrational person that Dana talks about, you could never talk to me during that time. I just did not have the logic and the good sense to know better.
Well, I'm glad you're healthy and here right now, so that's great. Let's take a moment to, applaud that.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
But let's also do this, because this is what recovery is, and this is what a lot of families don't understand about recovery. Recovery is a pay-it-forward process. So by me getting sober, I actually have the opportunity to reach out to someone else who's starting to struggle and pay it forward to them, and so on and so
Exactly,
forth.
because you've been there before.
Because I've been there. But it also works the other way. When I was younger, it was other kids, trying to introduce me to pot and alcohol. So there was a negative influence. I liked being on this side of the fence where actually we're paying it forward in a positive way as opposed to the other, which is the negative.
Definitely. So you mentioned growing up, or it was 19 years ago. So I want to know before, criminal defense lawyer, great job. Interventionist, great job. What did you guys originally want to be?
Well, when I was at Beverly High, I was always sort of a cops and robbers kind of kid. I always sort of followed crime and police, types of things. So I really felt that being in the criminal justice system in some way was something that I was interested in. And that's the key thing. You really have to find what you're interested in. And then when you get into that profession, every day when you wake up, that interest hopefully remains. And that's what's driven me all these years. And it's been a lot of years.
That's great.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have that same focus. As a kid, it wasn't as if, I want to be a doctor or a firefighter. It wasn't that kind of situation. I will tell you this, though, as a kid, I was a shoeshine boy, so I was always trying to work. I was always trying to earn a living. I didn't realize that actually what I was trying to do was be an entrepreneur and have my own business. So I wasn't that focused. Even when it comes to interventions, this is something that I would have never thought of doing and kind of just fell into it as a profession.
That's great. Sometimes that's how you find exactly your perfect spot.
Serendipity.
Exactly. That's the word for it. Perfect word. All right. Dana, question especially for you. I'm sorry, Carmine, to leave you out of this one.
Dana's the man.
Are you both? Don't worry, you'll have
I'm always willing to take a backseat to Dana.
Don't worry, he'll take a backseat.
I'm always his co-counsel, so he's the lead attorney. I'm co-counsel.
Oh, okay. It's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with
absolutely
6th man
not.
of the year.
Absolutely
Exactly.
not.
Carmine's guidance and advice on many cases is truly invaluable. It really is.
That's lovely.
But
you're each important in your own ways.
But you were going to...
Yes. All right. So my question for you, as a successful lawyer, what do you think is the most important quality for a lawyer to have?
Well, I think there are a lot of things. One is wanting to hear the client's story, so to speak. The client gets to the position that they're in, whether they find themselves in jail or in a courtroom or charged with a crime, because of a number of things that have gone on in their life. It's very rare that it just sort of happens. And so as a lawyer, it's very important to hear that story and understand why the person got to where they are. And with that, you then get the information to defend the person, because oftentimes people say, equal under the law. And I've never believed that. I think that people bring all sorts of attributes and traits and qualities to their life, and these are the types of things you need to convey to a judge or a prosecutor to decide what would be the best resolution for a case. And oftentimes the good things that people do in their life should go into the calculus, into the formula of deciding what type of punishment, if any, should be given for a particular situation or any type of criminal case that someone has picked up. So it's very important to know that person's background. And you do it by, just question and answer and really trying to delve into that person's life to come to a real understanding of why they are where they are.
Yeah, I really like that, because that way, I think without the backstory and you simply have facts, there's another side to it. You know what I mean? There's what you see and there's what's really going on. Why? Why is what we have to constantly ask. All right, Carmine, this one just for you. I'm sorry about this, Dana. So, question for you. You've helped so many people, you've helped so many families. I've read the reports, tons of praise. What's an accomplishment, no names have to be given in specific, or anything that you're most proud of in your career?
Well, I don't think there's any one family or incident that I'm most proud of. Remember, for me, this is a pay it forward program. So people that I've helped get into treatment and are now doing well in their life, I know that there's a rippling effect to what I do. It's being paid forward by them to many other people. So I'm very committed to this work because I know how important it is. But there is no one accomplishment. I think it's the whole body of work that I do that really makes me most proud.
That's actually incredibly honorable, because you're saying, I don't want to take credit for one job. I want to continue to help people on a daily basis.
Well, and I also don't take credit for this, because quite frankly, I'm working with a family and I'm trying to, heal a whole system. And it takes all of us together. I'm one part of this whole puzzle. And I'm typically the part where somebody's, before they even enter treatment. So there's other people that they're going to be very involved with as well. The treatment program that we, choose for them, which is going to be very important in this whole process. Where you take someone for their care matters. Because if I don't identify with the other people in the program or the brand of counseling that they're offering me, this may not work. And we put a lot of time and effort into helping families find programs that are effective.
That's very true, because every client could be totally different. Every person you're helping, like you said, different backstory, and that makes a huge difference.
Correct. That's one of the reasons why I really enjoy working with Dana, is because I think, there's a lot of listening that goes into what we do, and there's this desire to really help someone, not just for this immediate problem, but for the long run, and things that are the background story matter. They really do make a big difference. I went to treatment. The treatment program I went to worked for me. It's been, working for me to this day. So I know how critical it is to wind up in the right place at the, when you need this kind of help.
Exactly. The more I hear you guys speak, the more I think your jobs are similar. The more I think what you do is a combined effort. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy learning about this. But unfortunately, one more question. I'm sorry, I have to cut it short. All right, final question. You guys are joined here. You're joining me at Beverly Hills High School. How'd you guys end up here? Who do you know here? Who got you into studio? Who gave you the clearance?
Sean is the man.
Thank
Exactly.
you. So when I first met Carmine, I was trying to teach him how to play basketball at the high school, and he really needed help with the jump shot.
Yeah.
So I did my best, and luckily he took my advice. I got him help with the follow through. It all ended up well, and then I met Dana only a few weeks later. And what some people don't know, when I was referring to his Instagram earlier, which is at Carmine Thompson IA, that's the Instagram I run for him. We got to give him the credit. He approves of the content that's on it.
I love how Sean is plugging himself, but go ahead.
It's plugging everyone, really.
Who won that basketball game, by the way, Sean?
It's hard to remember with so much has gone on since then. Also, you can follow at Carmine Drug Help on Twitter. And Dana, would you like to plug
Don't I have a Twitter handle also?
I tried to remember at Dana M. Cole, I believe.
Dana M. Cole.
Dana M. Cole. I was looking at your Twitter. Very politically involved on your Twitter.
I try to, I don't tweet too much about cases.
Yes.
And just try to comment on the news.
Exactly. He has a lot of followers, this guy. Go be one of them. All right. Well, it was great to have you guys in the studio. You guys were very great at answering my questions. Incredible job by both of you. I'm so glad you guys could join me.
Awesome, Sean.
Sean, thanks so much.
This has been a sit down with Sean T. And have a good one. All right, now. All right, I feel good
Does
about
that cut it?